Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you being here. I'd like to introduce my co-host today, Wes Hodgson from and we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to reach out to the landlords, the brokerage community, to sort of talk about what's happened, where we think, what's been the reaction, and what we're going to do. So Wes, hi, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Aaron. Pleasure to join you today.
All right, so I'm Aaron Graben. I'm the owner of Titan New York Realty Corporation. We are a commercial real estate brokerage. One of my clients is Crunch Fitness, and I've represented Crunch Fitness, I think, for the last 4 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Wes has been a complete adventure for me and taught me. So Wes is really brought Crunch Fitness to Canada, and he's growing it so fast. So I'm going to just sort of go to the topic, and I'm going to hand this over to Wes to talk. But first, we're just going to go talk about Crunch Fitness, who you are, what happened with COVID-19 and the effects on the fitness industry, what happened to you specifically, and what's the future going to hold for you at Crunch and for the fitness industry, and talk about what you're looking for in the marketplace. I think that's important. Coming out of this, it has. We're now very lasered in on what we're looking for. So, Wes, can you tell us a bit about Crunch Fitness? Go tell us.
Well, obviously, Aaron, Crunch has been around since 1989, right? We're the fastest growing low price full service fitness franchise. The number one low price full service brand in Canada right now. Last year, across North America, we did about 480 million in network revenue. We have 1.5 million members. I think this year in Canada, we're going to pierce about 10, 11 new clubs, which is fantastic. So I think
in terms of your market position, where are you in if I said to you Good Life or LA Fitness or Econo Fitness, or where are you in terms of in that market positioning?
Yeah, I think you'll see by a lot of the pictures in the presentation, we're a Good Life Fitness at a Planet Fitness price point, right? So we're a high value, full service, extra full amenity club in that low price business. That's really our stronghold, and we really feel that, especially given the certain economic times, that it's a great spot for us to be.
I can tell you, being around you, that it's just been a run. We've been going so fast, so hard for so long. Open up clubs and go. It's amazing to watch the company grow. So yeah, you really are around Canada, and right now we're really Ontario. We're launching out in Quebec. We got one opening. We got more that we're working on, and then of course Alberta. We've got 4 clubs there that we're trying to we're growing the market. So and we're looking at BC and all the other provinces, the Atlantic provinces. So we know that we're growing quick. I'm gonna here's what I'd like to talk about. So there's this real estate ecosystem, and it goes like this. It goes lenders, landlords, tenants, consumers. Lenders lend to landlords, tenants get their money to finance it from the landlords get it from tenants, and the tenants get their money from consumers, and the consumer has unprecedentedly just disappeared. And in all of that, there's this new paradigm that's come out of the COVID-19. So the first one is that we all stopped working at the same time. So the idea is that we'll roughly run out of money at around the same time. And we're frozen in our geography. Like, that's it. Like, your real estate is your real estate. You can't move it. You can't really grow it right now. Everyone's sort of stuck. Even if you want to do a deal, the decision makers are working at 15%, the landlords. You can't really see space. And you can't outrun this faltering economy. Like, you can't move to a different economy because everywhere we go, there's COVID-19. Like, you can't say, I'm going to move to the US or Britain, or it's just, you can't do it. Or even down the street to Oakville, or you can't do it. So, and the other part is that whatever you have in your bank today is really all the money you got. We're seeing a lot of companies that are just like, okay, this is our cash. We can't make any more. And I understand it's even more acute in the fitness industry, and we'll talk about that. And then inversely, when we're talking about restarting, because that's really coming up, you can feel us bumping up against restart. And what does that mean for a lot of companies? Are there enough resources to open the doors, stock the shelves? You know that restaurants are going to be cash on delivery. So I'm really interested. I found it really fascinating what happened in the fitness industry as compared to the other retailers. So, what happened to you on March 17th? Like, tell us, like, from your perspective, what happened to you and the fitness industry in general.
Well, I think one, Aaron, has been a learning lesson for absolutely everyone and every entrepreneur and CEO and business leader, right? And we knew this was coming in March. We saw sort of where it was headed. Our opinion all along was we were going to wait until the government told us we had to close, right? Some of our competitors were a little quicker out of the gate to shut down the clubs. We weren't going to do that. We were going to wait. And, that day came on March 17th. And when that happened, we had the doors closed within 2 hours. And then it didn't really sort of set in until that happened, when you realize, you go, wow, not only did we just close our doors, we just turned off our membership tap, which is millions and millions of dollars. And our revenue stream is turned off overnight. And then you start to pair that and you say, okay, we've got, 1,000 employees across Canada. What are we going to do with these people? And you quickly started to see the reaction of this whole process during this pandemic and the results and what was going to happen. And for us, it just so happened with the Consumer Protection Act and, a bunch of minds getting together across the Crunch network, the billing was just being turned off. We weren't going to do that to our customers to bill them during this time. We foresaw that people were going to be in that position of needing to hold on to cash.
So, it's funny because that makes you sort of a little unique in this, that, the restaurants can carry on serving, takeout, and many other companies can sell online, and many other, you can take your goods and sell it online, your apparel, bikes, whatever it is. But for the entire fitness industry, it wasn't just, hey, close your doors. It was close your doors and you cannot collect a single fee. Your revenue is turned off as of today. And I thought that was really unique. And in managing that, I got to give Crunch credit. Like, you didn't hide. Like, what did you do with the landlord? They all of a sudden you just ran out of money. Like, not ran out of money, but your source of revenue is gone. How did you handle the landlords?
Well, I think the first thing was, we picked up the phone and we called, right? We sent a letter out. We were calling our contacts right away. And it became apparent that what was going to get us through this process was working together, right? Building your relationships, having those people that you work with to come out of this process together. And, let's face it, if we have rent due at a business, and is it better off in our bank account or is it better off in our landlord's bank account? I mean, this is now the supply chain. This is the food chain we live in, right? And I think that as long as we're working through this together, seeing that a tenant-landlord relationship for us is a 10, 15-year process. Why are we going to get caught up in what's happening in a month or two? We need to look long-term here to this relationship.
Yeah. And you also kept a core team. Like you said, you got rid of most of the people that work for you because you had to, but you also, what you said to me is like, look, we're going to start up and we're going to have to start up strong for these landlords and strong for our clients and membership. I think that was really interesting how you said, like, we're holding a team together.
Yeah, a big part of our process was then to communicate to our landlords what our strategy was as a fitness company and what we were going to do during this time. Our doors are closed. People can't work out, right? We had an online product called, Crunch Live. We quickly pivoted that and made that free to all non-members, which became a lead generation tool for us, which was fantastic. And, great. How do you take a business that can't sell online, that can't really service online, that needs the door swinging and the phone ringing in order to operate? There wasn't really a whole lot of pivoting we could do here. He said, guys, let's bunker down. Let's get through this. Let's do what we can during this process, but let's come out the other side winning.
Yeah, no, that's you guys did a really good job. I was part of that. I saw it. The communication was great. Okay, so now there's this real push about getting open at some point, and I think
we're starting to feel it.
We're starting to feel it. I know.
Starting to feel it, yeah.
I know. The haircuts. I haven't done my haircut like yours yet.
Yeah, you got the cut.
but May 2-4 is where the conversation, like, what do you think is going to happen, like, going forward? What are you going to do for this to accommodate the physical distancing trends? Like, what amenities are you going to do? What leaseholds, what practices? Maybe you could talk about that.
Well, we've just launched, across the Crunch network, a 30-page COVID-19 readiness plan in order for the clubs to get open and start to phase this whole process back into operation, right? Let's say we have treadmills in the club. Obviously, instead of treadmills being 4 foot on center, they might be 6 to 8, using every other treadmill to accommodate social distancing, right? Class sizes obviously shrinking, possibly using virtual classes, personal protective equipment for all of our staff, touchless check-in process for the club. We also have a counting system to allow us member access. So we're only having so many people in the building at once. I think that's been a big part of our process in order to say, hey, let's have all this ready so that when we are able to open, we're able to pull the trigger on the methods that we need to apply in whatever region and health, sort of health regions apply.
You have you're actually ahead of you're doing an experiment, I heard. Not
we
here.
Are. And it made CNN this morning.
It was on CNN and Fox, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So talk about this experiment that's happening in the U.S.
I mean, it's interesting. You have the governor of Georgia, obviously, who they're trying to get the state open back up. It has allowed fitness clubs to open. The president got involved, and I think there's a little bit of pushback on that now. But the clubs are going to open in the very short term. It was supposed to be tomorrow. I'm not sure that it's going to now. But I think, where we're in a great position is that we have this network of 300 clubs across different countries and different states. And we're able to use this as a training wheel to help us get back open and to learn. And us knowing in Canada here, we're going to be June 1st, right? Yeah. So I think that in order for us to learn from that, I think, we can stay in communication. We can learn what is working, what isn't working. I think a big part of it is obviously making the consumer feel comfortable.
Do you feel so one of the things is you've got to space equipment a bit farther apart. You got to put people farther apart. Do you think that the larger club format now, like 20,000 to 30,000 feet, will have a major competitive advantage versus the small boutique club, or like an Orange Theory of 5,000-6,000 versus a Crunch Fitness or LA Fitness or a Good Life that can really provide more area? You think that's going to be competitive for that?
Yeah, if you look at the footprint of the clubs, we're used to building these things 20 to 30,000 square feet. We have clubs that are upwards to 40 at some point. We generally keep, because of the volume of people going through the facilities, we're sometimes seeing 2,000 workouts a day. The layouts of the clubs are fairly open. So it's going to allow us to accommodate the social distancing rules and procedures fairly easily. Definitely going to require, a little more monitoring of traffic coming into the club, and really a lot of us working with our members and a lot of signage around the club to be considerate and to promote social distancing, and realize that as, a population and inside the club, our members, we have a responsibility to keep the club safe, both as owners and as members.
Right. I understand you'd be hiring more cleaning staff too. That was part of that conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Tommy, we talked a little bit about it. One of the things that keeps coming up is that, June 1 might happen, but then the restaurants and fitness clubs and hair salons won't be able to open at that time. Like, do you think we're all opening at the same time, or do you think it's phased in? Yours is the best guess of mine, but.
Yeah, I think it's going to phase in. It's going to be different by province, obviously. I know in our network in Canada, Quebec was the first thing to shut down for us. So the rules are going to be different across the board. And we're going to learn from each one. And we're going to make sure that, we work with our team along with, all different training protocols, and make all the resources available to our staff and our members to make sure the clubs are safe, that we're being proactive, and that we want to come out of this. We want people to work out, but still realizing we're not out of the woods and we have a responsibility.
What about the consumer demand? I mean, is it going to be the same, less? Do you think people are going to be flocking back? Do you think they'll be? trickling back?
I can tell you, we have a weekly call with all of our leadership team and executives, and I've personally seen, the Facebook messages, the Instagram messages, and all the emails. And I think the demand of fitness is higher than it's ever been in a while. And I think that's going to be great for us. Having said that, and I've been preaching this all week, is we have a huge responsibility on our shoulders to ensure the safety of people coming through the doors.
Yeah, it's even this week. Every week has its own flavor during these times, and
absolutely.
And you can feel that this week is starting. And I talked about it 3 weeks ago. Like as we get to the end of this month, we have a huge amount of data set from both in Canada and in the U.S. and around the world. We have this massive amount of COVID-19 data set that we're able to project, and we're starting to. People are doing a lot of surveys online, and you're seeing people saying, what am I going to do after COVID-19? Where's the first place I'm going to eat? Where am I going to get a haircut? Where am I going to go work at? So you're starting to see, a change in attitude, I think. And I think that's a problem. And it's also, great because it's the human spirit saying, let's fly, right? So what about landlords? I mean, the stories I'm hearing is that there are some fitness companies that have just basically wrote a letter to all the landlords saying, I'm not paying for 6 months. It's too bad. Deal with it. Like, do you think, and it is unique because, the Canadian, the Consumer Protection Act, required, you couldn't take membership fees. So that was actually a mandated government thing. But, from a landlord's perspective, like, oh, I really got hurt by these large users. Do you think there's going to be a pullback? Like, I don't want more fitness anymore?
I think, a lot of the small box fitness is going to be a tough go. I think that all the landlords that I've spoken to and some of the largest landlords in the country, sort of have the same opinion as us, that we're in the position that there's going to be a lot of need for fitness. I think that the high value, low price, full service fitness field is definitely going to be the spotlight that a lot of landlords are looking and saying, hey, this is, recession proof. This has now gone through a pandemic, and look at how this industry is coming out of it. I think absolutely there's a big need for it there.
So you feel like you're positioned well to come out of this. Like, why you and not Good Life or LA Fitness? Like, why Crunch Fitness?
Well, I think if you've looked at a lot of the chains across the country and across North America, we've seen some bankruptcies already, right? We have a low debt structure, low debt load, and I think we have a small enough team where we're agile, we can move quickly. And I think that's what has allowed us to be successful working with you. I think that we're in the position that a lot of these larger brands with, 100 plus locations, there's gonna be some spaces that are turning over. It's inevitable now. So I think when you position that with a little bit of tempering reality of some rents, that we're gonna be in a good position to take some spaces on.
So I guess that kind of goes into like that conversation, like there's going to be more increased vacancy, lower market rent. You think, because I mean, we really, as Crunch Fitness is targeted, it's at a lower price alternative. So your rates have to be within a certain dollar range to make money. But I think that will position you for definitely the consumer. But do you think the landlords that will be defaulting on other tenants, that they'll say, hey, Crunch, do you want some space? Do you want to take the space?
Yeah, I think we've already seen that happening. We've heard the phone calls. And I think that is definitely something that's going to happen. And it's going to be something that takes, over the next 6 to 9 months, it's going to be a focus for us for the rest of 2020. There's going to be spaces that are turning over. Absolutely.
And do you think you're going to be moving more from developing new clubs to acquiring new clubs? Like, is there going to be sort of that, or taking over old clubs? Is there push that way?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to work on what our strategy is and taking on an old club and renovating it and closing it for a while and bringing it and giving it a new life, because a lot of these would be, probably some older leases, possibly, 10 years old in some spaces. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's going to definitely give an injection into big box space within the market.
In terms of funding, each of these clubs, it's like $2 to $3 million to start to open a club. you think the banks and all your lenders will be more like, yeah, let's go here, let's open up new clubs? Do you think that money is going to be there to help with that kind of?
Absolutely, I think it will. I think our bank has been extremely supportive and hasn't really, there has been some discussions on veering off our growth plan, but I don't think that's the overall consensus is let's take a week by week, month by month overview of what's going on. I can tell you the attrition that, we've been seeing while we've been closed is shockingly low. I think that the support that we've seen, the passion of our members is they want to get back to normalcy. So I think that as much as I've said, when this happened, we're going to shut down the business, we're going to bunker down. There's going to be a switch that we turn on, and it's going to just literally turn that membership tap back on. But there's going to be an adjustment here. And that adjustment is a little unknown to everybody. So we need to take, that 30,000 foot view across our network and really look at how this thing is going to pace forward. And that's going to be a discussion with our banks and our landlords of how that works.
Yeah. So let's just talk about what the perfect space for Crunch is. So let's talk about that. So what if someone said, "Okay, I got a space for you, Wes"? What do you want to see?
Aaron, we've always been looking for 20 to 30,000 square feet, obviously. 100, 150 stalls in parking, 50, 60,000 plus in population. I think in some markets and some of the larger suburban markets, we'd potentially even look up to 40,000 square feet at the right rental rates.
What about in the urban market? Would you scale down a bit for that urban market as well?
I mean, no, we need to. It doesn't work at under 18,000 feet. I think we'd start looking at 2-3 floors, and a square footage is extremely important to us. We need size, we need scale, and we need the ability to get people through the doors.
So I think a key takeaway for me is that that this was so unprecedented, and that from the fitness industry there really is this challenge where you're just going to run out of money really fast because there's no way to bring in. There's no AR, there's no receivables, there's no nothing. And I think on the landlord side, I saw some really innovative stuff going on. I've seen landlords say, "Hey, look, it's not the rent today and tomorrow. It's the rent in September, October, November, December, January, February." That's
absolutely
really important to me, right? Yeah, because a lot of people have gotten deferrals on their mortgages, and they can put off some costs and things like that. But so I think that was my takeaway, that Crunch is just really positioned well for that low cost, that low price market with high value, and I think that you'll be able to grab more spaces as the time goes on, as we come out of it.
And I think if you look, I mean, what we don't know right now is, what does our economy look like? What do we look like coming out of this? So, in having that large sort of square footage, low price, I think we have the perfect marketing position.
Yeah, I do. I agree. So, I mean, it kind of brings us to the end, and I got some questions here. Hold on, because as I say questions, getting this thing to come up is always a challenge. Don't mind my. Oh, no, what happened here? Hold on a second. Oh, great. Hold on. Slideshow. We'll do it from the beginning again and see what comes up. Okay, so we got some. I can't find the questions. Interesting. You see them there, Wes?
No, I can only see your screen.
That's okay. Okay, hold on. I'll get back to it. All right. Give me 1 second.
But I can tell you, we had a call this morning with a big group, and I've never seen a group of people as excited to get back to work and get back to day-to-day life and get back to fitness and changing people's lives, right? It's really inspiring.
It's funny. I'm having a problem with my thing. It's not coming up. So what I'll do is I'll ask you a couple of questions and go from there. Our growth is, what province right now do you see you growing more in? Like we're in Ontario, and like where do you see it really happening for you guys in the market?
Quebec is booming for us right now, which is fantastic. I think we're going to be really one of the first brands outside of Quebec to come into the market and achieve success. The clubs we've opened have been absolutely gangbusters. They're perceived well. We have fantastic Quebec leadership on the franchise side. We couldn't be more thrilled. And so there's a lot of growth happening in that market. And obviously, we think BC is going to be a fantastic market as well. I think there's a lot of growth there. And I think the rest of it, we're really probably looking towards the Ottawa side of Ontario. And then I think our next step is probably to move east.
Where east? What do you think?
Like Maritime, out in the Maritimes. We've got a few good leads. Actually, interestingly enough, one of the areas on our franchise side of the business, because we're also franchising, we've sold 100 franchises across Canada in the first 3 years since we started this, right? And I think we're on pace to sell about another 25 franchise units this year. But even in the last month, people have been sitting at home. And although fitness is not an essential service, there's been a lot of interest in the franchise system. So that's been very interesting. And I definitely think that coming out of this, we'll have that whole market sold and be able to move forward out there.
When would be the very latest you see yourself reopening be?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I mean, when we went into this, we used June 1st as a modeling date. I think it's going to be in and around there. I think there's going to be obviously maybe different province by province. I think the key is, again, working with our landlords. Our lenders are on side. And as long as we can keep the sanity of our members, I think we can all get through this together. And I think that's absolutely the strategy, is that we have to get through this together.
It's one of the questions: how many locations are open in Canada and where? And I'm going to answer that one. Okay, so hold on. Here they are. So we really have 31 locations. 21 are corporate. Most of them are in Ontario. We opened our first in Quebec, and we're trying to get another one open. We're in the middle of a negotiation, and we have 4 in Edmonton. And then
you're going to see a lot of growth in Quebec this year. Quebec's going to be a fantastic market.
I think that's great. Okay, I'm going to go back to more questions. Here we go, Q&A. Do you have any locations downtown Toronto?
Yeah, one location downtown Toronto. I mean, you and I know downtown Toronto is an interesting model, and that's something that is on our radar that we want to go, and it probably is going to have to be 2 to 3 locations very quickly in order for us to get that brand across the downtown core correctly and quickly.
Yeah, I think there's it's a different model. Like, you have to know that there's a different model for urban versus suburban, and there's different like parking is not an issue, but density is, and how access is into the space, and different floors and that kind of thing. So I the urban model, and I've been pushing Wes, by the way, for the urban model for many years. Like, we gotta go there.
And what do I push you back on?
You're like, okay, price. So that's
and look, downtown Toronto is fantastic. Let's get creative on space.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think it's great. I mean, we're really a downtown New York. That's our DNA. Yeah. What's the differences? What are some of the differences between Good Life and Crunch from a customer's perspective? That's another one just came in.
I think Crunch is cool. Crunch is quirky. If you come into the club, they're energetic. Our staff are just gleaming with smiles. I think a big difference is if you look at our price point, and we offer a 3-tier membership structure between $9.95 and $29.95 with group fitness, our proprietary group fitness, our hit zone, which is our sort of small box training facility with 80 to 100 feet of turf. I think there's a real difference when you walk into the club. It's just the vibe. It's extremely energetic.
I have a question for you. If there was a message that you wanted a landlord to take from this, or a broker who's listing space about Crunch, what is that? What do you want them to walk away with?
I think the strength of the brand and the network across North America is unbelievable. We've seen unprecedented growth in our sector. I think that really what makes us unique is our model of franchising. Although we do have 21 corporate locations, we're really pushing our franchisees to be just as big as we are. We want to have franchisees that are owning 5 and 10 units, right? So the level of the franchisee that we're bringing to the system, we want to stay small to grow big. And that, from a partnership standpoint, is fantastic for a landlord.
Do you think that this is going to help get more franchisees coming over out of COVID-19? Is there an opportunity for franchisees now?
Absolutely. I think there's an opportunity. I think that, there's also going to be changes within our business that, no one ever thought, hey, if a pandemic happened, what is going to happen to our business? So we're going to have to adapt changes and what that looks like. And we're going to have to flow that down through our franchisees. And that's going to be a big question when people are interviewing for franchises. What makes them attracted to Crunch, and how are they going to get through something like that? And how are we going to support them and help them get through that process?
Wes, I thank you so much for doing this. I've always said, everyone else has stuck their head in the sand, and you popped yourself out and said, look, let's keep going. Let's keep positive. This is going to be fantastic. Yeah. And I really wanted an opportunity to share that with everybody. And thank you very much for joining me today.
Aaron, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. Next time we'll do it at your office.
Yeah, that'll be great. Take care.